Jungle Jeopardy by Jesse Leon McCann. Scooby-Doo and his pals from Mystery Inc. were visiting Central America. One of Daphne's teachers, Professor Peabody, was an expert in archaeology, the science of uncovering ancient objects. Daphne! Professor Peabody greeted her warmly. I'm so glad you and your friends are here. The expedition is about to begin. The group ventured into the jungle. I've heard legends about an undiscovered Mayan treasure nearby, the professor explained, but the other scientists here think I'm an old fool. Professor Peabody led them to the base of an ancient pyramid, where they were to begin their search. But the pyramid had a guardian, a fierce cat-like creature that snarled, scaring them away. Well, this is awful, the professor cried. Don't worry, Fred said. Let us solve the mystery behind this cat creature, then you can get back to work. The gang headed out to search for clues. Wow, look at all the fresh fruit, Velma said. So yummy. Velma's right, Shaggy said, smacking his lips like, these goodies look ripe for the picking. Scooby and Shaggy filled their arms with all kinds of fruit. Soon they couldn't see where they were going. Watch out, cried the others, but it was too late. Zoink, said Shaggy, as they fell into a pit. They hit the bottom of the pit with a thud. Luckily, the pit wasn't that deep. Stay there, Fred shouted. We'll throw you a light. Soon they had a torch lit, but Shaggy was still nervous. Like Scooby, he said, I get the feeling we're being watched. Shaggy and Scooby saw a tunnel and decided to look for a way out while the rest of the gang searched for more clues. Shaggy's instinct was right. The group was being watched, and whoever was watching them wanted them gone. Daphne and Velma and Fred heard a rumble. An avalanche of heavy tree trunks was rolling their way. They ran as fast as they could. Jeepers, Daphne yelled. Somebody cut those logs loose just when we got near. And now we're coming to a big river, Velma pointed. Jump, Fred yelled. The three kids dived into the deep river, escaping the runaway logs. Boy, that was one lucky break, Fred said. Come on, let's find Shaggy and Scooby. But as they swam to shore, they suddenly didn't feel very lucky. Standing there were three cat creatures. Meanwhile, Scooby and Shaggy had walked through a long underground tunnel. Their torch looked like it was going to go out soon. Then Scooby noticed some steps up ahead. They climbed up and saw lights and heard sounds coming from a nearby chamber. They left the torch outside and snuck quietly into the room. Hiding behind a stone pillar, Scooby and Shaggy discovered that they had a big problem. Zoinks, Shaggy whispered. It's those cat creeps, and they've got Fred and the girls. Grrr, Scooby growled. He really didn't like cats or creepy cat creatures, and now they had his friends. Like, it's not nice. It's nice you want to save our friends, Scoob, Shaggy said, holding Scooby back, but let's wait for a better chance, like maybe when we have an army with us. But Scooby pulled and pulled. Shaggy held his collar tight and pushed on the stone pillar for support. Without meaning to, he pushed it right over. Smash! The cats whirled at the noise and snarled at the intruders. Run, Scoob, before we become their new scratching post, cried Shaggy. Scooby soon realized he was no match for the scary cat creatures. He ran. While the cats were distracted, Fred, Velma, and Daphne escaped. They cut their restraints on a sharp rock, then found Shaggy and Scooby in a nearby tunnel with mining carts on a track. What would the cat creatures be doing with this kind of equipment? Velma wondered, aloud. The gang didn't have time to think about it. The cats were catching up. Get in the cart and let's get out of here, Shaggy cried. They rode around, gaining speed as the cart raced downhill. It went so fast, they got away from the cats. Uh-oh, Fred said, pointing. I think we're coming to the end of this ride. Bam! The cart hit the end of the track and the gang spilled into a huge cavern. Jeepers, Daphne said. Now I'm starting to get an idea about what's been going on around here, Fred exclaimed. Gold, silver, diamonds, and rubies. The cavern was filled with treasure fit for a king. Come on, gang, those cats will be right behind us, Fred said. Let's find a way out of here. But, aren't we going to do something about this treasure? Shaggy asked. That's exactly what we're going to do, Fred answered, as soon as we're back up to ground level. After they made it to the surface, they quickly prepared Fred's plan. The cat creatures soon arrived and were shocked when they saw what walked out of the jungle and right up to them. Like howdy, a cat that looked like Shaggy said. Velma and Daphne had dressed Shaggy and Scooby up to look like the cats. The cat creatures snarled and chased Shaggy and Scooby. As soon as Shaggy and Scooby led the cats away, Fred pulled on a vine. Several logs the gang had collected came rolling down a hill right at the cats. Shaggy and Scooby led the cat creatures down to the river. The pair jumped out of the way just before Daphne pulled on a vine that tripped the cats. They went tumbling into the cold water. Help! I can't swim, yelled one of the creatures. The gang pulled the wet cats out of the water and tied them up. After they were unmasked, they turned out to be the scientists who claimed they didn't believe Professor Peabody's theory. Let me guess, Velma said. You discovered the hidden treasure and decided to keep it for yourselves. And you came up with a cat creature disguise to frighten away anyone who came snooping around, Daphne added. It would have worked too if it weren't for you meddling kids and that dog of yours, the leader of the pack shouted. After they'd handed the cats over to the authorities, the gang showed Professor Peabody the treasure cavern. Thanks so much, kids, the professor said. I am forever in your debt. Think of all the archaeological research that's in store for us. Like, I'd rather think of all the Scooby snacks we have in store for us, right, Scooby? Shaggy said, patting his best pal on the head. After this adventure, they had earned a reward. Thank you for listening. The next story will be The Mixed Up Museum.